Hello there everybody, Sam'sTrains here. Welcome back to another live stream. Hopefully it's going to be an exciting one. Thank you all for turning out. There's over 100 people watching already, so that is super exciting. A few people have been asking in the chat I've seen, is tonight's stream going to be the last? No, it's not the last. There's going to be one more next week and it's going to be a sort of special Christmas episode. So if you want to join me for that, please do. But of course, today we're going to be doing a bit of a review. Try not to get too excited and trip over my words. But not just yet, I've got a few other things to talk about to start with, and the first thing I always like to do is, of course, to thank all of last week's super chats. So here we go, there's quite a few of them. So we have Mark Dukes, Matthew Harris, Michael Aldred, again, Michael Aldred has donated several times, so thank you to him. Jake Darling, once again, several times he's donated, and also Stig Diggs. And I've also been told to give a special shout out to Joseph Borkan, who's only 6 years old, and him and his mum apparently watch me quite a lot. She says she feels like she already knows me, even though we've never met. And anyway, he's a big fan, so I thought I'd better give him a shout out, and that's very kind. Cooper Green has just sent me a super chat who wants to see the Hornby D16 double heading with the Bachmann D11. So that might be an interesting one. Actually, I think my Bachmann D11 is DCC fitted, so I might not be able to do that. But I'll do the best I can. Anyway, I've got some requests to do from last week to start with. So first of all, Matthew Harris's request was to see the 7F double heading with a 4F with some Western coaches. Now, to start with, I was going to have to say, unfortunately, I can't do that because my 4F is a Hornby one and it's got the TTS sound, which means I can't double head it with a DC loco. But amazingly, last Saturday, well, on Saturday, just a few days ago, less than a week ago, I saw a really, really lovely sort of brand new Bachmann 4F, which is DC, and I decided to buy it. I completely forgot that I'd had this request, but now, amazingly, luckily, I'm able to do that. So for Matthew, I will be able to do that. Michael Aldred asked to see the P2, which is a DCC engine, of course, with 12 coaches, and again, that is quite tricky because these streams are live, as you know, and to handle 12 coaches all in one go, to get them all on, to get them all off, and to hope that they don't derail during the session is quite a big job. So unfortunately, I can't run as many coaches of that as that, but I've put quite a few on, and you're going to see those in just a second. And the third one from Jake Darling was to see the BR Green Tornado with a rake of blood and custard and chocolate and cream coaches. I'm getting all confused with this. With a green diesel, a BR green diesel at the back as a bit of a banker. I'm sorry, not a backer, it's a banker, isn't it? Now, unfortunately, again, it's the same problem. My BR green Tornado is actually DCC fitted, but luckily my BR blue Tornado isn't. So I'm really sorry to have to change that slightly, but I'm going to be running the blue version rather than the green. Anyway, I thought I'd better probably show these to you since I've talked about them enough. So there they are. You've got the P2, which is ready to go on DCC, and in the middle there you can see the two very, very lovely, actually, they look fantastic together, BR black locomotives, the 7F and the 4F, and I think those are fantastic. And then you can see just there I've chosen the high mech for the third train, and actually at the other end of the train, which you won't be able to see just now, is the Tornado in blue. So hopefully that'll be good. Let's get these started then. Now, of course, I've had to set up the DCC controller to run the P2, and that's always a bit of a worry because Railmaster is a little bit glitchy, but I'm going to switch the sound on. Now, you probably won't hear a lot of its sound because the microphone I'm using is on my body, so you might not hear it, but nonetheless, I'm going to start the P2, and please, everybody, let's hope it doesn't derail today because that would be a disaster. Anyway, let's get the double header started. There we go. And the P2 needs speeding up, I reckon, doesn't it? There we go. And of course, the lovely high mech. Is it a high mech? Yes, it's the high mech with the Tornado. There we go. So the Tornado, yep, is on the other end of the train, is at the front, in fact. So I'm going to give you a nice quick running session with these. Let's go over to here and see if we can't see that P2 thundering down the line. Oh, look at that. Oh, what a sight that is. I love that. That P2 is, by the way, this P2 has had a brand new motor fitted into it. I put a 5-pole motor into it fairly recently, which means that it's actually a lot nicer to run. It's still a little bit on the noisy side, and I'm not too sure why that is, but the truth is it just runs so much more nicely now. So, yeah, I'm pleased about that, to be honest with you. And there is the Tornado with the high mech banker. That's very nice. And let's pull us back to the church cam because I think nearly all of the locos are going to converge together there. So can you guys hear the sound from the P2? It's actually really, really loud for me, but I don't know whether this microphone will pick it up. I can hear them clearly, but not too loudly, said Late Jurassic. Okay, I'm glad to hear that, because it's very, very loud for me. Always has been. That P2 is a very noisy engine. But I suppose it's supposed to be. It's not a complaint, obviously. Right, let's have one more lap, or thereabouts, with these. Look at that P2. So I've put quite a substantial number of coaches on there. I haven't skimped too badly on the coaches, but I haven't been able to put massive amounts on. So there we go. Here comes Tornado again with the high mech, and we'll go back to the church. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got the camera set up at the front right now because that's all ready for when I do the review. So you're actually not going to get a very good view of these engines stopping, but I'm going to stop them now, and I'll take them off later on, off camera. I'll probably go to a little bit of a break later on and take these off before I do the running session as part of the review. But just because you can't actually see what I'm doing now, I better describe it. So the 7F and the 4F have just come to a halt now, and the Tornado and the high mech, you'll have just seen them go by the church, and they've arrived at the front now, and I've just stopped those. So now it's just a case of waiting for the P2, and just in case you can hear her through my microphone, I'll do a little bit of a whistle. There we go. Did you hear that? I don't know if you did. I have no way of telling. But she's just coming around to the front now. And again, I'm sorry you can't see this. I know this is not exactly interesting to watch. But there we go. She's stopped at the front. And hopefully that's all the DCC running I've got to do today. So I'll unplug the controller and I'll take those off later on. Okay, so let's get down to business, shall we? Because I've got quite an exciting review to do for you today. And it's an unusual review because, and this doesn't happen too often, but it's a loco that I've never seen run. In fact, I've never seen it in the flesh, out of packaging, and my particular loco hasn't been out of its packaging yet. And I can't remember what I called this stream actually, but I called it something along the lines of the cheapest loco ever. Now, this cost £26, brand new. Hang on, what was it was actually £26.51 from Amazon. And yes, Amazon. And it's ridiculously cheap. Obviously, that isn't the cheapest you can get. You can get certain engines, such as Hornby 060s and Hornby 040s, of course, you can get for less than that. But I think this is probably the only loco that is sort of this large. It's an electric engine, and it's a Bobo, as you can tell. I think you will really struggle to get any other brand of engine this size for that kind of price. Now, of course, I have no idea what this is going to be like. It could be absolutely useless. It might not pull a single coach. It might not work at all. Who knows? I don't know. I have no idea. I'd like to think that we're going to be pleasantly surprised by this and that it's going to run fantastically and it's going to be a really good quality model. But of course, for £26, we've got no idea. So yes, this is going to be quite exciting. As I say, this is the first time I've ever looked at this thing. So I'm not too sure how I'm going to react to this. I'm not sure how you guys are going to like it. I hope it's not a massive letdown because that would spoil the stream a little bit. But I can't really wait, so I'm not going to make you wait. So I'm going to head down to the front then. And I'm going to get me scissors because of course it's in a blister packaging. Yeah, let's get this out. And I've had this for a couple of weeks. I showed it a few streams ago and I've not had it out. It's been murder not opening this. But as you can see, there's no fancy cutting going on the back. I've not had my knife on it and I've not opened it up to sneakily have a look at it. So this really is the first time I'm getting this out. And with the Bachmann Thomas engines, there's always some instructions up here, but I'm just going to cut straight across there. So if I cut the instructions in half, oh, never mind. I better hope I know how to use it. So are you watching? Because I can't redo this. I suppose that's the beauty of being live. I can't redo it anyway. So I am now cutting across the packaging. I'm not cutting very straight either, but that doesn't matter. Hopefully this will be enough to get it out. Let's go from the other side, shall I? Oh, it's about time. I've had this, I don't know how long I've had it, a long time though. Oh, I think I have cut the instructions in half. Oh no, I've just cut the corner off, as you can see. So let me see what's in here then. Ah, yes, I probably have ruined the instructions then. But there's probably not a lot to see. Yeah, there's no, look at this. You can tell it's Christmas. I've started doing my cut-out dolls or whatever. No, not very good dolls. Let's just see what kind of things. Running hints. Yeah, it's actually quite similar to the Hornby ones, and I suppose it is because Lima is owned by Hornby, as you might know. But that's the instructions. We don't care about those. Let's get this thing out then. Let's see what it's like. And it is based on an Italian locomotive, as you might expect, because Lima is an Italian brand. But okay, I don't know if this is actually the best way to do it. I better make some more cuts in this packaging, because I'll be cross with myself if I break it on stream. I won't be able to edit it out and pretend it wasn't me or whatever. Right, let's get this out if I can. Alright, here it comes. Okay, it's in some nice protective sleeving, which is something that the Bachmann Thomas & Friends engines don't get, and as a result this is in really nice condition. Okay, let's take a look at this thing then. So I'm not going to go through all of the details just yet, but I will look underneath. Now, it looked as though this had NEM couplings when I first saw this in its packaging. I'm just going to see whether that's true. I don't think it does, which actually is going to scupper me very slightly, because I'd got some NEM couplings ready for it. But I suppose, you know, this is a cheap engine, so it's not necessarily bound to have NEM couplings. Right, so let's see here. So we've got these two wheels are driven, and there's a traction tyre on the left and on the right. So we've got two driven axles, and these rear axles appear not to be driven. They're free to wheel, but of course they're going to have the pickups on them. I can't see whether this front set has got any pickups or not. I'm going to say not, so it may be that we're just relying on these back wheels for the pickups. But anyway, yeah, it's a really nice little thing. It's quite basic, of course. You're going to expect it to be basic, but of course I'm going to take it up onto the white background now anyway, so we'll have a very, very brief overview of the different details and such. So first of all, I've done a little bit of digging on these Lima engines, and I didn't find an awful lot about them, but there is just a little bit of history about them, so I've got some of that prepared for you, so here we go. So as you might expect then, the E.444s were a class of Italian electric locomotives that were introduced back in 1960. They were some of the first engines able to reach truly high speeds, often exceeding 120 miles an hour, which obviously was very impressive for the early 1960s, and there probably weren't many engines out there that could have done that back in those days. However, the class was often used on older railway lines with older rolling stock, which usually limited them in their high speeds, and so obviously those high speeds were generally not always attempted, for safety reasons presumably more than anything else. So then, Lima are an Italian model railway manufacturer, and they've actually been around for many, many years. The company was actually founded back in 1946. But in the UK they became known for their production of quite cheap diesel models between the sort of 1970s and early 2000s, and they occasionally produced steam locomotives too. Most of their models were almost purely plastic, and even the chassis were usually plastic, with a handful of exceptions. I think the Class 20s had metal chassis, but this basically allowed them to produce much more affordable models, and actually despite their cheapness, many can still be found today in fantastic working condition, which is obviously exactly what you want to hear. These days Lima are owned by Hornby, obviously the big British model railway manufacturer, and although they don't produce British models anymore, they can still be found producing models like these, affordable models for children, and that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. So let's take a look at it, shall we? Okay, so in the usual fashion then, we're going to take a quick look at this thing close up. Now, I'm no expert, I haven't really had time to look at this thing yet, so it's really going to be a first look. So I've set it up. Oh goodness me, what a good piece of camera work that was. Hang on, let me move this camera. So yeah, as I said before in the last review, this isn't perfect. I can't get really close to this, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to give you any close-ups of this, but I will at least be able to point out some different things. So actually, for the first time, let's have a look. Well, let's talk about the paintwork. There is quite a bit of sophistication, I would say, with the paintwork on this one. If I just give it a little bit more light here. As you can see, it's in this sort of very lovely Italian paint scheme, which is mostly grey, I would say, as you can see top, but you've got this sort of lovely dark bluish colour, which is not really something we saw on British railways too much. And then you've got this sort of creamy colour in the middle, and unfortunately on the top here, as you can see where the windows are, the windows unfortunately aren't glazed. A little bit like the Thomas & Friends range from Bachmann, they are just filled in with black plastic, which is a little bit unfortunate. Another thing which is quite striking about these, I would say, is the pantographs. Now these are a bright shade of red, and I don't know whether they're going to come up or not. It appears not. It appears that they are fixed, which I think is probably fair to expect. Yes, so unfortunately, if you've got an electrified railway or anything, you wanted to use these pantographs, you're probably going to be disappointed, or maybe not, because £26 doesn't imply that these are going to have working pantographs, but they are fixed, and I suppose they're quite basic looking things. If I turn this on its top. You can just about see them there. You've got a pantograph at each end, not just one, which is quite interesting. And yeah, generally the detail is okay. There's a few painted details. You've got the little crest here, which presumably is native to these Italian railways or whatnot. The buffer beams are fairly simple as well. If I turn this round, in fact, if I show you the end of the engine now, it's going to be out of focus, so I will be brief at this part. But you've got this FS, I think. I forget what that stands for, but that's quite typical of Italian railways. And then you've got the class E.444 001, which is presumably the number. So yep, that's that. It's fairly basic looking, I think you'll agree. But it does the job, and for £26 I'm still quite impressed. And I didn't mention this, but the weight is fairly substantial. It's probably about the same weight you'd expect to find with a sort of Hornby Railroad diesel. So yes, not too bad. Obviously I don't think any of us were expecting this to be super detailed, but to be honest, it's not bad, is it? So I'm looking forward to seeing that run. So we're going to go for a little break in just a second. I don't know if I've got anything else I wanted to do right now. No, not really. So just you guys wait around for a second. What I've got to do now is I've got to get the engines off that I ran to start with and get some coaches ready for the what's it called, an E.444 I think it is. Get some coaches ready for her. Of course I can't use my Pullman coaches, which I'd planned to use because she hasn't got them pockets as I thought she might. So I'm going to probably get some of those lovely Orient Express coaches for her. So I'm going to go for a little bit of a break. It won't be too long because I managed to snatch some of the engines off while I was talking about the different information and such. So it will be 5 minutes, probably less. But go and get yourself a cup of tea. You know, it's nearly Christmas. Get yourself a biscuit or something nice. And I'll be back in just a few minutes and we'll find out how this thing runs. So fingers crossed it will work, because if it doesn't, we're in big trouble. But I'll get some coaches ready and I'll see you all in just a second. So I'll be back in just a few. Okay folks, I'm back. That didn't take too long, luckily. Okay, right, so I don't think I'm going to be able to show you what I've done, because again I've moved the camera ready to show you something else. But what I've got is I've got 3 of those lovely blue, what was it called? Orient Express coaches, that's it. Hopefully she'll manage 3. I think, judging by the weight of it, she will manage 3. In fact, I better grab her, hadn't I, and hold her. Haven't put her on the track yet because I really don't want to watch her run until you guys are with me watching as well. So I've got her right here. She's not gone on the track just yet. And I thought I'd better use this opportunity to show another of my requests. So if we have a look here, oh, you've got some of the coaches that I stuck in the background there. This was, I think, one of the requests from Stig Dig, I think it was. They wanted to see the Southern West Country class. So I've put on my sort of BR1. Unfortunately, I haven't got a Southern West Country that will work with another modern engine. He did ask for Southern coaches though, so I've done those, as you can see. Yes, we've got Southern coaches, and also for it to be banked by the N-Class, the Southern N-Class. And that's my Bachmann N-Class. It's number 1824. It's a really lovely model, 260 I think it is. And anyway, I'll take this opportunity to turn you around. If you're getting dizzy, I do apologise. Try not to go too fast. But there you can see those 3 coaches. I've actually put those onto the inside line, so we haven't got to mess around with these. But they're quite freewheeling, as you can tell, so hopefully, I'm really hoping she'll manage with those just fine. And yes, these have the European couplings. I think that's the correct term for them. It's the sort of hook and loop couplings anyway. So let's get this first engine out of its siding then. And it's actually been here for the whole session so far. So this one was for Stig Digs. I hope you like seeing this. And all I've got to do is just get my DC controller working again, because I had to unplug it, of course. Whoops, that's the phone. Oh, we've never had the phone go off, have we, before during one of these streams? Oh, there we go, it stopped. Right, let's get these sidings open then. Right there, and let's get these 2 engines out. Now, I've no idea which way they're going to be heading. Oh, backwards, of course. That was quite predictable. Okay, so there are quite a few coaches, 5 coaches in total. So I suppose that is a bit of a recipe for disaster across the points and things. But she's going over onto the middle line, which again, should be fun. Whoops. Sorry about this. You must be getting really dizzy. All right, she's just about managing. I've moved the camera here so you can see her go across these points. I am hoping that everything's going to work just fine. It should. Let's hope. And there goes the N-Class, number 1824. What a beauty. Hopefully she'll be okay at the back there. Hope she's not going to be pushing Camelford too hard. And Camelford is the name of the West Country class, of course. Okay, I'll just bring those to a stop, shut the points again. I'm going to be careful to shut every point that I open today, and that includes the siding point. Okay, let's get these started again then. If everything derails, I do apologise. I do hope it won't. Okay, and on the inside line, well, in fact, it won't be the inside line, will it? It'll be the outside line. I have decided to run this. It's one of those British Railways electrics. I forget which one it is. If you know the name of this electric, let me know and I'll get it started. But anyway, let's get it out of the points, shall we? Let's get it out of the sidings. So I'll just set a couple of these points and bring it out onto the outside line, and then at least we've got another electric running alongside the Italian one. So I think actually this marks the first ever Italian engine that I've ever looked at. Come on, out you get. I'm going to slow her down a little bit because she's going too fast. A little bit too fast. In fact, I'll stop her just at the front. And I hear another derailment as well. I don't know if you're going to see it, but I'll try and fix it while she's in shot. But it's the southern engine at the back. It's come off. Now, last week when I started to have accidents, the computer crashed and went down. So if this week the computer goes off again, or if it crashes or whatever happens, don't worry, I won't be long. I'll try and get back online as soon as possible. And I'm probably tempting fate by saying things like that. But yeah, hopefully it won't go wrong. Okay, so let's get this back round to the front. Let me move the camera so you can see. And then I think we will think about getting this new engine tested and seeing what happens. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, this is the ultimate fate tempting, isn't it? Get a brand new loco, open it up on camera, and then run it for the first time live on camera. That's scary. Anyway, so I thought I would take a few minutes just for you guys to let me know what you think about this thing. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to fail? Or do you think it's just going to wheel slip and not be able to manage the coaches? So let me know what you think to her. I think you can tell what I think. I'm quite impressed. It's got good weight, it's got fair detail, and it's also very sturdy. I mean, because these pantographs are just fixed, it means that they're very, very sturdy, and you're not going to be able to break them off. That would be a concern if they moved, of course. So, do you think it's going to work? Let's see what people are saying. Scotsman says the Diamond Spinosaurus. It's similar to the Flying Scotsman in a dream I had once, but not quite. So what's people saying? Let me go down to the bottom if I can. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any Dutch rolling stock. No, that's true, I don't have any Dutch. But of course the Orient Express rolling stock that I've got over at the front, I think that is, well, it's European, isn't it, at the very least. And that's unfortunately the best I've got. I was planning to run some Pullman coaches, like I say, but the difference in couplings has definitely thrown that. Mitchy Lad 123 High says it's going to work, so I hope you're right. I hope it does. Thomas Fan 2008 says I think it will wheel slip. Well, that's not very positive, but you could be right. It's kind of all to play for right now. But it does have 2 traction tyres, so you know, hopefully it won't. But you know, and also I'd be very interested to know which kind of motor it's got inside here. I don't think it's got the old Lima pancake motor, but that would be a bit of nostalgia, wouldn't it? POW Drummer says I think it will derail and blow up. It's very possible. It's very possible. This thing shipped all the way from Italy in just that basic blister packaging in a box. So it's very possible that this thing won't work at all and blow up. But if it does, I'll catch it on camera, so that's good. Crunky Films, DTHCP, says it will work. And OB is awesome says it better work. I think that's true. Okay, it better work. That's true. Right, let's put ourselves out of our misery then, shall we? Oh, blimey, and see if this does work. So, let's take to the track. Now, I've no idea what is the front and what is the back of this engine, so I'm just going to take potluck and put it on however I feel. I don't think it will make much of a difference, but just in case it does, I suppose I'll put the driven wheels at the front. How about that? Okay, let's try this then. My first ever run of an Italian engine. I don't think I've ever run an engine from Italy before, so that's really exciting. Okay, let's see if the couplings work. Yep, just about. She is coupled. Okay, can you see it? Is everybody tuned in? Right, let's give this a try then. I don't know which direction she's set to go in, but we will find out. Okay, here we go. A little bit of juice. It works. It moves. It is noisy, but it's actually very controllable, I notice. It does a really nice sort of smooth speed. And it's not ideal because she's coupled to the coaches, and really I should be letting an engine like this run in to start with. But just out of interest, let's see how she does at slow speed. So, not fantastic. I think that's really as best as she will do right now with the slow speeds. And also, don't you reckon these coaches look lovely with her? They're clearly not designed to run with her, but I think they just, yeah, they really do match her well. So at least I've got something that looks aesthetically pleasing to run with her, even if they're not particularly realistic. So there we go, she does work. Okay, well, let's get her running in. As I say, these coaches are very free rolling, so I'm really hoping they're not going to be a problem. So there she goes off around the layout. Let's get these other two trains started. And yes, the N-Class did derail a few moments ago, and I think it was to do with the tender. The tender on these has always been bad. It's too light for a start, which I can fix. I can put some extra weight in it. But yes, it's probably going to derail again. But if it does, just excuse it. And if it's, you know, if it's playing up too badly, I'll just have to take it off. But oh, we've just missed the new Lima model. But yeah, I just thought it was really, oh dear, technical difficulties there. The camera on the wall has fallen down. Let me lift it back up. There we go. As I was saying, I think it's really lovely to finally see another engine from Lima. I mean, Lima, as I say, was very popular here in the UK back in the, well, a long time ago, in the 70s or 80s or whatnot. And then they sort of disappeared. They didn't make any more British models. And now they're back again making some models from Italy, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I'm glad to see that. Oh, and you won't see her on there, but you will see her if I go down to the front. And there's that electric. Did anyone guess what class that was? Oops, I can hear the N-Class come off again. Oh dear. I'll tell you what I will do, I'll take the tender off. It's not something I've ever done before on the channel. I think it's actually quite sacrilegious to run a loco without a tender, but I think because I'm live right now, I've got a good excuse. So let's see it then. There goes the loco without the tender. It won't be able to do that for long because it will run out of coal, of course. But never mind. There goes the Lima electric, the E.444. Quite pleased with that. It's at about half power there, and it goes a lot slower than most of my other engines. And I suppose for kids that's a little bit boring and dull, but to me that means it's at least, you know, got an attempt of being fairly realistic. Yeah, I think that's very cool. And of course I've no idea how much it will pull. I suppose we're going to have to test that out during a video maybe at some point. But it would be very interesting to see how many coaches it can pull, and I've got quite a lot of those Orient Express coaches, so yes, it might prove very interesting. Here we've got the electric overtaking the steamers, which I have got going nice and slowly on purpose, just in case there's a problem. It's a Class 87, says Intercity 125 125. Thank you for reminding me, that was my fault. I'm not very good with electrics. And there we've got the N-Class tank engine, wink wink, running by there. Well, that was good. Right. So let's talk about the ratings then. Now normally I prepare the ratings beforehand, but of course it's not been out of the packaging today until just a few minutes ago. So what I've done is this, and it's very naff. It's probably the naffest thing I've ever done. So are you ready? I've printed off my little rating sheet, and what I thought I would do is I would let you guys decide on the ratings. So in the chat right now, choose one of these categories. You've got detail, performance, character, build quality and value. Choose one of those different categories and give me a number out of 10. Just one each. And if there's a certain value that seems to be popular, I will do that. So I'll read them out again. You've got detail, performance, character, build quality and value. So pick one and give me a value for it and I will write them in. I've got a Sharpie. Now my handwriting's terrible, so you're not going to be able to read what I write, but hopefully I will and be able to read it back for you. So let's see if anyone else has got something to say. There's a little bit of a delay between what I'm saying and the chat, so it does take a couple of minutes to get in. Bonnie Gaming, Detail 2. Crunky Film says Detail 8 out of 10. Detail 7, I think, yeah, the average seems to be 5 to 7, so I'm going to take Thomas Fan 2008 and give it a detail of 7 out of 10. What do you reckon for performance? I've seen a lot of high value marks. Value 8 out of 10 says Trains and Stuff. Mitchley Ladd says 9 out of 10. I think that just means in general. Eddie Owen 8 out of 10. Steve Ford 8 out of 10. Okay, I reckon we'll go with a high 8 then. That seems to be the accepted figure there. What do you reckon on performance? 10 for speed. Performance 7 out of 10 says Cooper Green. Okay, I agree. I think 7 out of 10 is a fair one for performance there. So what kind of character do you think this one's got? Anybody saying anything about the character? Character's a bit of a tricky one. I don't know. Late Jurassic said 0 out of 10. It blew up. Well, it didn't quite blow. It didn't quite blow up. I think it's got a fair amount of character to it. That's probably because I'm not used to seeing Italian engines, but it looks pretty good to me, I would have said. So overall, Lucas is saying 7 out of 10. Okay. Thomas Fan 2998 says character 10 out of 10. Do you think so? I think, well, the livery's very lovely. I think the colour scheme that it's got gives it some real lovely character. Shall we have another look at it? Oh, there we go. It's just disappearing there. I think it's beautiful, to be honest. So people are saying high marks in character. EO, the train master, is saying 9 out of 10 for character. So people are giving it generally high character marks, so I will do that. I will listen and I will give it a 9 out of 10. Build quality then, what do you reckon? I think people have generally said that it's pretty good in terms of build quality, and I'll have to agree. Yes, it's a little bit cheap and nasty in that the pantographs don't work, but it's heavy, it's all pretty solid, there's no glazed windows to drop out, so in some ways that's a negative point. But here I would say it's pretty good. So I think we'll give it a 10 out of 10 on the build quality. So let's try and think about what we'll give this overall then. So we've got detail 7 out of 10, performance 7 out of 10, character 9 out of 10, build quality 10 out of 10, value 8 out of 10. I would say that's averaging a little bit over, well, we'll give it about 8, shall we? I don't know what the average is. Normally I weight these, so the detail, for example, is worth a lot more than the character, for example. So let's give it 8, shall we? I think it's pretty good. I mean, for £26, I don't think I've ever bought an engine as good as that for £26. And Hitman Delta Games has just sent £5 through the super chat, so thank you so much to that. That is really kind of you. And just know you're the people that's helping to keep this channel going. So there we go. There we go, 8 out of 10 overall then. I think it's pretty good. Obviously the detail is leaving a little bit to be required, but it's supposed to be a toy, and for £26 you would expect it to be a toy. So let's just have it go past the church again. There it goes. And let's go round the back once more. Oh, I'm supposed to wave, aren't I, every time this shot comes up. I've not had a lot of luck with this camera, have I, recently? I mean, last week it cut off and wouldn't come back on, and this week it fell off the wall. It's only stuck on with Velcro though, so I suppose really I was asking for it. Mark Horner said 6.9. I think I know where he's going with that one. I'm just waiting for it to come past this camera one last time, and then I'll go down to the front and stop them. There it goes. What do you reckon to the coaches? Do you think they work well with her? I actually thought they suited her really nicely. And they were a bargain. I got them at an antiques fair. I talked about this during my unboxing of them. It's a place called Breedon on the Hill. It's near Derbyshire. And there's a lovely cafe there which sells cakes and all sorts, scones and things. I think I had a millionaire shortbread there or something like that. And there was these coaches. They've got metal wheels. I think they are Lima actually, or they might be Jouef. Not too sure. But they were £5 each, and I must have bought about 8 of them. And they're all in fair condition. You know, some of them have got broken steps and a bit of detail missing here and there, but overall they're in really nice condition. So yeah, I went for them, and finally they've come in useful. So, whoa, that was a bit of a quick stop. So there it is. There's my lovely, what's it? It's a class 86. There we go. Yep, in the Intercity Grey. And of course, just in case you're interested, this does have a working pantograph. Whoop, there we go. It shoots up. And I think also these are designed so that they would work as well. So if you've got a rail above the track for those to wipe on, if you've got overhead lines, I mean, you would be able to use them and they'd work. Okay, so here we've got Stig Dig's request of the West Country class. I'm sorry I didn't run a Southern one, but I haven't actually got a Southern one that will run at the same speed as the N class at the back there. The only Southern ones I've got are Triang ones, and they tend to run quite a lot faster. So unfortunately, I couldn't do that because I've got to sort of choose reliable things to run, and if one of them's going way faster than the other, it just kind of means that if I sit here in this chair and control the cameras, I'm probably going to have to chase it round while it derails. And as you know, we get enough of that already, so I didn't want any more on that. So thank you all for your evaluations on that. That was definitely a team effort, and I think we've just about got it right. The detail is probably a little high, don't you think, for 7 out of 10? But certainly the price redeems it massively. So that's very, very cool. Thank you all for that. That was cool. So let's talk about this then. Let's do a little bit of a Q&A. If you've got anything you'd like to ask me, or if you've got any thoughts on the new engine, please let me have them, and I'd be very glad to talk about them. If you want some inspiration, there it is with its coaches. If we've got time, and if it's something people want to see, Laserjet says great live stream, by the way. Hello, Laserjet. If you've got an idea. If it's something you fancy, I might try and do a little bit of a strength test with her and get some of those Orient Express coaches, get some more of them, I mean, and put all 8 on maybe and see if she can pull them. I don't know if I should do that right now because she hasn't had a chance to run in properly and it might burn the motor out, but possibly one day that's something I might do. So let's see what people want to talk about. Laserjet is going, by the way. I think he is. Yep, he said bye. So bye, Laserjet. Thanks for coming in. What's your favourite loco, says the Ultimate Bro Squad. Well, it's probably one of these actually. You see the West Country class there in the middle. That's not my favourite. That's not necessarily my favourite model, but I think it's my favourite class. The West Countries or the Merchant Navies. There's not a lot of difference between them, and to be honest, I love them both. What do you think of the N class, says the train spotter of Zoetomir. I really love it. It's a lovely model, but the problem is this. The tender. Now I've sort of modified my tender so that it has a more sort of conventional triangle style drawbar, but the one it had originally was a nightmare. It can either be straight like this or all the way across or all the way back. It's a really weird coupling, and if you've got one you'll know exactly what I mean. But yes, they are bizarre, and I'm not a massive fan of them, so I did away with mine. But as you can see, it's still derailed, so I don't know. It's not a good tender. But generally, it's a beautiful engine, and I think if someone did a sort of a retooling of one of those, that would do so well. Harry Todd Hunter says, let's talk about Brexit. Okay, well, let's not. That's not very train related. Sam, gloat about the fact that you've driven a 9F. I tend to bring that up quite often, don't I? But I'm not going to bring that up today. I do want to say, though, by the way, thank you all for 15,000 subscribers. Just when I was up here in the loft setting up the stream for today, it hit 15,000 subscribers. And normally it's not advisable to sort of announce it or anything or talk about it until you've hit, 15,030 or whatever, just in case it drops back down again. But the fact is I hit it, so I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody, because obviously just me here making videos doesn't mean anything. I mean, anybody can do that, but the fact that you guys are always here to watch them means a lot, and in fact that's the that's the make or break. So thank you all. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's one hell of a username. Says, what is your favourite old locomotive? Oh, that's a very tricky one. I really like the Triang Stephenson's Rocket. I know it's not a very reliable, it's not a very practical model, but just because of its unusuality, I love it. It's really, really cool. And I'll have to get that running at some point. So if anyone wants to drop a super chat for that, I'd be very glad to see that run again. But yeah, that's Stephenson's Rocket. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, because it's such an obscure engine, check it out. I've got a review of it on my channel. You can see it if you want to. Do you have a 60163 Tornado model, says George Miners. Yes, and I ran it, in fact, just a few minutes ago, so skip back a few minutes and see it. I've also got the green version as well, if that's what you wanted to see. Thank you for making videos, says Samantha O'Shea. That's no problem. I absolutely love making them, as you could tell. I mean, I've made about 130 videos this year, so you can tell I love them, because I definitely couldn't do that if I didn't. What do you mean? To tell me you have driven a 9F, haha, says vlog that train 31. Yes, I'll try not to mention it, because I've mentioned it too much probably this month. But yeah, for my 21st birthday at the Great Central Railway, I did drive one. My parents and family really booked the experience for me, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was one of those sort of bucket list moments. It was really, really good. How many Class 37s do you have, says Mitchy Lad 123 Hi. Let's see, 2 I think, just 2. I very nearly, at the train fair last week, I very nearly bought another one, a Triang one, but at the moment I've just got two V-Trains ones, and one was actually bought as a gift for me by a lovely bloke called George, who I did some jobs with, I'm sorry, and he was so happy with the jobs I did for him that he decided to go out and buy me an engine, which of course he really didn't have to do, but it was really touching, and really, you know, it took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it, and it's such a beautiful engine. I've still got to review it actually, so I will. Have you heard of Oliver Cromwell, the Britannia, says Intercity 125125. Yes, I've heard of that one. Is that the preserved one? I seem to remember it might be the preserved one, but I know Hornby have made a model of it at the very least. It looks like a really nice model, in fact, the Hornby one. I don't know if they've done any loco-driven versions of it, but I've certainly seen quite a lot of those. I've had to service several of them. I had to DCC fit a few, which was definitely fun. No sarcasm detected there. Did you fire the 9F, says Taggart00. No, I didn't fire it. Well, in fact, it takes an awful lot of experience to fire a locomotive. That's what I do know. It's not just a case of chucking the coal into the firebox. There's a very specific way to do it, and certainly with such a big engine as the 9Fs, you would need a lot more experience than I've got to do that. What's your favourite coach, Sam, says Iran Vinyl. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And I don't really know how to describe the favourite coaches of mine, so I might as well just go and get one of them. But it's the coaches I got from the Excalibur train pack by Hornby. I don't know, well, they're certainly not the most detailed coaches Hornby have ever produced, and they're probably actually the most detailed coaches I own, but I spend most of my money on locos and not coaches and rolling stock. But here they are. This one's Pendragon, but there was a set of 3, and I think it's just beautiful. You've got the curtains, the no smoking signs, the painted bogies. It's just a really beautiful coach set, and I really love it. And they're all named after sort of characters and artifacts from the King Arthur legend, and it's just sort of you know, it's a beautiful train pack, and for some reason I like those coaches. But other than that, I suppose Pullman coaches generally are my favourite kind of coach, and I suppose that's a bit of a broken record thing to say because everybody likes Pullman coaches, but for good reason. They're beautiful, aren't they? Sam, have you ever considered N-Gauge? Yes, I get asked about N-Gauge all the time. Unfortunately, there's not much more space left up here to do N-Gauge, but if I ever get a proper place to build a layout, you know, a proper layout, I'll probably include a circuit of N-Gauge track, you know, maybe to simulate narrow gauge, I don't know. But yes, that's something I would love to try. SDJR7F says those would go well with your Pullmans. Yes, that's true, they would go nice. I've never done that, I don't think, but yes, I hope to get a couple of Pullmans and those Excalibur coaches and see what they look like together. That would be very cool. Do you run your Class 33? Yes, I've got, well, which one's a 33? I forget what the Class 33 looks like, but yeah, generally all of my engines get run reasonably often, and in fact I've just been servicing my December ones, and there was a massive problem with one of them. I won't talk about it too much because I did film a video which won't go up now till next year, but it was the Hornby T9. I went to service it and the motor mounting bracket had completely crumbled into dust. There was nothing left of it. And so it cost me about 30 quid. I had to buy a new motor. I decided to buy a new motor because I tried to glue it all back together and it didn't work. So I had to buy a new motor. I had to buy a new motor mounting bracket and also a rear screw and mount for it. It was a right nuisance, but this particular T9 was a special edition. It was one of probably 1,500, so quite rare, quite sought after probably, and it's not just something I wanted to throw in the bin. So I did spend the money and I fixed it up, and I actually filmed myself fixing it up. So next year, if that's something you like, I will put that video up if you want to see it. Jake Darling has just sent £5 via the super chat, so Jake, thank you so much. He says, I'm just here to support out the pub. I'll have to watch this once it's uploaded, but how about a 9F freight train with ocean wagons? Wow, I like that idea, so that's definitely one to do. Thanks, Jake, that's really, really cool. Steady with that vodka, said SR Duke. No, I don't drink, actually. I never do drink, so you can be sure that I won't be drunk in any streams or anything like that. What is a T9? Shall I show you? So who said that? Sorry, Jolanda Tange said, "What is a T9?" It's a kind of locomotive, as you probably guess. It's a southern locomotive from the Southern Railway, and this particular one was the green one. Let me get it. Right, here it is. It's quite an unusual one because it's in a southern green livery, but it's actually a British Railways locomotive. And basically that suggests that this model is based on sort of an early BR model. So when they converted over to British Railways, the liveries weren't changed, but they had British Railways written on the tender. And then over time they were converted into BR liveries. But here it is, it's number 30119. Still in the southern livery, still in southern colours, but with British Railways on the tender. And this is the one that I've just fixed, and it's running beautifully now. Thank goodness is what I say. Thank goodness for that. Right, where am I going to put it? I'll put it over here. They are very fragile things, and I'm not too impressed with the build quality on it. But it is working again. That's the thing. It's not like new. It's a little bit on the noisy side, but it's working again. What's your worst loco? Says JCXD Animation. Well, generally, I try not to buy terrible locos. I always say this. I try not to buy terrible locos, but I've got a few. That T9, believe me, when it all fell to pieces, it seemed like a terrible loco. But I think the worst is probably the Lima J50. I always say that, just because it's sort of a bit phony. The middle wheels are just literally loose wheels. They're not even attached to the rods. And I always found that a little bit rubbish, to be honest. Anyway, thank you all for that. That was a very cool little sort of discussion, I suppose. So, we've got some more Wall of Fame entries to show you, or I have. So, let me show you some of these. There's some really interesting ones this time. So, let me show you. And if you've got anything you'd like to send in for the Wall of Fame, you can email it to samstrains@outlook.com. Unfortunately, I can't put the link up on the screen because I'm not that prepared. But if you want to send in anything to my email address, it's going to be down in the description. Anyway, so Michael W. sent this. It's quite a small picture, so I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see too much, but it looks like a sort of larger scale model set, maybe, on a turntable. Looks like a Black 5 or a Standard 5, absolutely superb. So that's something different, something I don't see too much of. UP05 Trucks, looks like he's sent in a bit of a Christmas layout. It might just be overexposed, but it looks like there's some snow on there, and I can see what looks like maybe Canadian Pacific on the line, which is always lovely to see. Oops. The camera's going down again off the wall. Let's film it. Let's see what happens. It's pointing down. It's falling. It's falling. Oh, it's gone. I'm going to have to get some super glue on that Velcro then. It'll never come off then. Right, let's hope that'll stay there now for the rest of the stream. Oh, got to wave. Oops. Well, that was eventful. Okay, so now we've got Poisonous Orange, which I think is a really good username, by the way. There we go. He's got one of his trucks which says Christmas Express. So that's very cool. Thank you for that one. I'll put that up. Now, Mike J sent me a series of pictures. This one looks like Henry to me, but he sent me all sorts. He's taken a whole load of Bachmann engines and converted them into Thomas models, which I think is a very cool idea. So that's what he's done there. Then Liam P sent in this. I'm not going to guess what this is, but it looks like some sort of military steam loco, which is fantastic. So thank you for that, Liam. And finally, SG Kingley sent me a picture of his beautiful King class, and I think this is one that he actually took apart and serviced and restored, and he says it's now working again. So really, really glad to hear that. That's very cool. And of course it's in the BR Blue, which is my personal favourite version of the King class. So that's very, very cool. Now, last week I mentioned that I had an advent calendar, and of course most people have advent calendars. So I said, you know, send me some pictures of your advent calendars, and a few people did. Not many did, because I thought people probably thought they had to be train related, but they didn't. But I did get a few. So here is Curtis's one, and it's a Transformers calendar, which is very, very cool. And I showed mine last week, so if you want to know what it is, it's a lint one, and lint is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Here is a train-related one, though. Look at this. So this one was from Damien, and it is a really, really long. It's got to be a metre long, maybe more. It's a big train. You can't see it too great because I can't go too close, but it's a big train, and presumably along the line you get days 1 to 24. And I don't know what's in it. Maybe chocolates, maybe not. But that is the first time I've ever seen a train advent calendar. So if you know where I can get one of those, let me know, because I'd quite like one. And then Stuart sent this one in, a traditional Mars Bars advent calendar. And to be honest, sometimes you can't beat the old favourites, can you? So there's that. So that's very, very cool. Thank you for those. You've got one more week to send in your advent calendar. So if you've got an advent calendar, take a picture of it and send it in to samstrains@outlook.com or Facebook or Twitter. That's fine. And I'll print those off and put those up next week. Okay, let's do a little section on Snups then. Now, Snups, as you might know, is basically it's a software, well, it's an app and a website which lets you catalogue your collections. So for the last few weeks, in fact for ages, you guys have been uploading pictures of your collections, and I'm going to show some of them now. So let's take a quick look, shall we? Let's have a look at my activity. And let's have a look at here. So Andrew Keeley has shared his item on my group, so let's take a look. Wow, look at this. Turbine versus Atlantic, and just look at the size of this one in the foreground. That's amazing. And then you've got a little which looks like, I suppose that's the Atlantic then. Little tiny one, that deserves a wow for sure. That one's awesome. Okay, Josh the train guy. Oh no, let's see. Right, let's go back to me, shall I? And let's look at some people that are following me. In fact, no, that's who I'm following. Bear with me, I'll get there in a second. Here we are. Okay, let's have a look at some of these. So David Bluesmith has got 2 shelves. Oh, and these are trains, that's good. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, this looks interesting. So this is an 040 in an army livery, it says. So that's very cool. It looks like it's been through a war, that's for sure. So it says it's from the train set code name. So did they produce it looking like that? That's very cool. Okay, he's not giving it a high rating, I notice, only 2 stars. That's a bit harsh. Let's see what else he's got. Oh, look at this, a Southern Green Terrier. Oh, I do approve of that. Number 2, it says. That's beautiful. Give that one a wow as well. Let's see what other people have been doing then. Callum James has got 6 shelves, so he's been very busy. Oh, it looks like he catalogued some buses. He's got some real engines on here and some models. Shall I take... Oh, look, no, steam locomotives. Let's look at these. Oh, a K1. Is that the Bachmann? Oh, no, it'll be a Hornby K1, won't it? Oh, let's wow that then. I love that one. Let's have another look at a couple more. Oh, look. Royal Lancer. Don't think I've heard of that one before. It's an A1. He says it's number 4476. I like that one. Okay, give it a wow. Right, let's head back and look at one more, shall I? I'll just do one more. Hopefully one that I've not looked at before. Let's have a look at Connor. Let's see what he's got. Oh, this is interesting. Well, he has got some trains. Some of them are in N scale. Let's have a look at his N scale stuff then. Wow, I'm always so impressed by N scale just because of the scale. That one's Southern Pacific, number 9752. That one's very nice. Wow, that one. It's a diesel, presumably an American diesel. I always find the couplings interesting on these. I've never seen how those work. But there's a Burlington Northern. I recognise that livery because I've got what I think is a switcher of some sort from there. So that's cool. That deserves a wow. All right then, you persuaded me. I'll do one more. Let's have a look. I'm trying my best not to show people that I've already shown before, just because that's not very fair. So let's have a look at Clive and Simon. He's got a category here called LMS Goods Engines. So let's see if we can spot anything we recognise. Yeah, most of these. Lovely LMS Ginty there. That looks an old one. That looks like a trying one. You don't see many trying ones in the maroon, so that's very nice. I don't know if he's repainted that or what, but it looks very good. There's another trying one in an LMS black. I like that one. That's very cool. And that looks like maybe an Airfix one, to guess. I don't know. Yeah, that looks like an Airfix model, certainly. Anyway, that was very cool. Thank you all for sending in, for following me on Snups. And again, next week, sorry, will be the last opportunity to do that. So if you've not signed up to Snups yet, do it in the next week and send some pictures up onto Snups. And maybe during next week's, I'm getting mixed up now. During next week's stream, which is the final Christmas stream, I might look at yours. So you might get lucky. For now, then, I'm going to double check the super chats that I got today. Let's take a look, because I know there was at least 2, so I'm going to try and get those done right now before the end of the stream. It means I might go a little bit over, but that's fine by me. So yes, I did get a few. We've got, let's see here, let's go from the start. So Cooper Green wanted to see me double head the D16 with the Bachmann D11. So I won't be able to do that, but I will run the D16 for you. And in fact, I bought a brand new D16 at the weekend, so I'll show you that one. That one's a lovely one. Andrew Keeley sent $5 and said Merry Christmas. So So Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you so much. Hitman Delta Games sent £5. He didn't leave a request, but again, thank you ever so much. That's really kind of you. And Jake Darlin, he says he's just here for the support, but he wants to see the 9F with Ocean Wagons. So I will absolutely do that. So I'll go to a very short break. It won't be a big break, but I'll be back very shortly with those to run. So go and get yourself another cup of tea. It's been a long while since your last one, so you're okay. You're okay. It's not too much. I'll be back in a few then, folks. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a few minutes. See you in a second. Hang on. Where's my back soon? Here it is. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, folks, I'm back. That didn't take too long, I hope. Oh, the camera's just fallen off again. You know, there's always something, isn't there? But at least the computer hasn't cut out so far. Okay, so a massive thank you for this week's Super Chats. I've got them sorted out. So we've got the D16. This is my brand new one. I bought it last week. Well, less than a week ago. It'll be a week tomorrow. It's the LNER lined version. I absolutely love it. It's just gorgeous. And UFG2036 has just sent me $5. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. I really do appreciate that, thank you. So, sorry, yes, the D16 has got a bit of a mixture of coaches, and then you can see on the left there we've got the 9F Evening Star with the Ocean Wagons, and because there wasn't a third one at the time, I've left the E.444 on, so she can do a little more running. So thank you ever so much for those requests, and I suppose more importantly, thank you for the Super Chats. That is really, really generous and kind, and I have been totally bowled over during this series of streams by just how many people were willing to show their support. I really wasn't sure that anybody would, but the fact that you guys have really does mean a lot. So, you know, thank you, seriously, thank you. Here's the 9F then. Evening Star with a small rake of Ocean Wagons. Of course, I didn't want to keep you waiting too long, so it was just a small rake. And then probably my favourite bargain for a little while. It's this beautiful D16. It was only £70, and I was pleased with that. I think pleased is an understatement, and I love it. I've been looking for one for a while, and I know I've already reviewed the LNER green one, but well, kind of tough. I want to review this one too, but it won't be for a little while. But there they go. Oh, look at that. The D16 there, just chasing the 9F very slightly there. What good ideas. So I'll thank you guys again. So it was Jake Darling and Cooper Green who wanted to see those two. Thank you very much. And also to Andrew Keeley, Hitman Delta Games, and everybody else who sent one, who didn't leave a request. UFG, what was his name? Let me check. To you guys anyway, thank you ever so much. It was UFG2036. Even though you didn't leave a request, thank you so much. Of course you don't have to. You can just feel free to leave your support, which is fine. But, you know, this is just a small way of me saying thank you. So there's the 9F, and what a beauty she is. I can't run the black 9F normally because those are on DCC. Both of them are, in fact. Of course, the Franco Crosty one is definitely chipped because it's got TTS sound, and in fact, my Railroad Black one, the regular Railroad Black one, is also chipped. I chipped that one. So yes, both of my black ones are running on DCC, which is a shame because I don't run DCC that often. So I suppose it's a little bit daft, isn't it? But never mind. Anyway, I will leave those running while I just say my goodbyes. So let's just think about... Okay, right, I'm going to tell you what's coming up next week. And I've got another big surprise for you. It's not quite as big as the surprise for Gordon and the turntable. Let me just correct this microphone. Can you hear me okay? I better adjust this, just in case. If people miss the announcement, I'll be in bad books. Is that okay? You'll probably hear that. Okay, so it's not as big a surprise as it was for Gordon and the turntable, but it is the announcement for this year's Christmas special. It was a lot of work, almost as much work as Gordon and the turntable, and so just like I did for Gordon, I'm just going to show you a photograph. Well, I'm going to show you the thumbnail, which hopefully should explain everything. So are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go. So there it is. That's the idea. Make of that what you will. It's coming tomorrow, so you haven't got long to mentally prepare for this one. And it does need a bit of mental preparation because it's a bit crazy. But there we go. That is, hopefully you'll kind of get the idea. That 040 is certainly very ugly and it gets a lot of comments. So I thought, hey, why not make that one the subject of this year's Christmas special? And I'm really glad I did because it came out quite nicely. So let me know what you guys think about that. I don't know how it's going to go down, as always, but you kind of know it's coming because I do one every year. So I hope you enjoy that. Mike M says, Sam, my 3-year-old Edison loves watching your channel. I think he has watched every single video of yours over the last months. Love your vids and particularly the live streams. So say hello to Edison for me. In fact, if he's watching now, hello Edison. You've been busy if you've watched all of my videos because there's about 300 of them. But so well done. That's very impressive in itself. Zachary Bro says the ugly tank engine. Yes, that's what it's called. It's called the ugly tank engine. And it's a Christmas story. It's this year's Christmas special. What's that locomotive? Says 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's an 040 that I bought. I don't think I bought it on its own. I bought it in a job lot with a few others. And it had been repainted. Repainted quite badly. And I decided I would try and get the paint off it and see what was underneath. It wasn't worth anything, so I knew it would probably ruin it, and certainly I wasn't very experienced when I did this. Oh, and it makes me cringe to think about what I did. I submerged it in nail polish remover, and basically what it did, and I was kind of half expecting this to happen, and so it was quite intriguing, but basically the nail polish remover ate into the plastic. And that video probably shows it quite nicely. As you can see, a lot of the plastic is badly damaged. Around the cab it's worst actually, and you can't see the cab in that photo. But yes, it ate away the plastic and quite badly ruined it. Only some of the paint came off and some of it didn't. And it's intrigued people. Every time I show it on video, people say, what's that, what's that? And just like people are doing now. So yes. Yes, that's it. So it's the ugly tank engine. Hopefully you'll enjoy the video, and it's this year's Christmas special. So on Monday I've got another train fare video for you. That's what's coming up, and I always love those, and people say they do as well. So I hope you'll enjoy that one. And then on Wednesday I've got another diesel review. I forget which one it was now. But it's a diesel review, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. But for now, folks, I think that's really all I've got to say. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the requests, and of course, thank you to the people who left the super chats and the requests. I'll be back next week for the final stream. It is the last stream in this series. I'm doing 7 of them, and then I won't be streaming again probably until February of next year. But it's been fantastic. I've loved it. Of course, it's not over yet, so no sort of teary goodbyes or anything just yet. But yes, we're nearly there, and I'll be relieved when I'm there, don't get me wrong, but I will absolutely miss it because it's been fantastic, and it's probably been the best thing I've done this year. So with that, from me and from my engines, of course, thank you all for watching, thank you all for your wonderful support. I obviously, quite clearly, couldn't do this without you, so the fact that you all come and tune in again and again, week in, week out, means the world. It absolutely does. You know, it's such a niche thing, and the fact that you know, there are 117 of you right now watching, it's crazy. It baffles me, and the fact that it's me that you guys choose to watch, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same. You know, in the YouTube community, we are honoured. We are honoured that you guys watch us. So thank you, and don't ever forget that without you, we would be nothing. And in fact, I am nothing. It's only you guys. If you guys didn't come, I wouldn't be doing this. So again, thank you. Okay, folks, that's all I've got to say. It's very emotional, I'm sure. Okay, that's all I've got to say. Thank you all for your support. Has anyone got any goodbyes? Yeah, Battle of Britain 375. Sorry, Battle of Britain fan 375 says bye. Samantha O'Shea, see you later. Bye Sam, have a good night, says Graham Ness. Yes, we will have a good night, thank you. And of course you all have a good night as well. So keep safe over the week, folks. Be careful out there. You know, it's kind of cold here in the UK at the moment. So wrap up, keep warm, and stay safe on the roads and such. And I will see you next Friday, all being well. If the computer doesn't blow up, or, you know, every train in my collection derails and kills itself. I don't know. All being well, I'll be back on next Friday for the last stream. So thank you all very much for watching, folks, once again, and I'll see you all very soon. Cheers, everybody. Well, that is the end of today's stream, but if you would like to see some more of Sam's Trains live, don't forget to pop back next Friday at the same time, 5 PM UK time. And in the meantime, if you've got anything you'd like me to do during the next stream, or if you've got any topics you'd like me to discuss, please do let me have those before next week. But for now, thank you once again for your company, and I will see you all back here very, very soon.